Welcome back to the Paranormal State, Washington, and UFO UAP. With Makāula Nakae, a lifelong experiencer and ET contactee since 1990. Today's episode, Redefining the Alien Encounter. The Interdimensional Shift. Interdimensional or spiritual experiences. The hypothesis that UFO phenomena, close encounters, and abductions are interdimensional or spiritual rather than purely extraterrestrial, nuts and bolts craft from another star system, represents one of the most profound paradigm shifts in modern alternative history and ufology. Moving away from the Cold War-era notion of physical spacemen in metallic saucers, this framework suggests humanity is interacting with intelligence native to parallel realities, higher dimensions, or unseen energetic layers of our own environment. A comprehensive look at the mechanics, reports, and theoretical foundations of the interdimensional model reveals several key aspects. Pioneered by researchers like Jacques Vallée and J. Allen Hynek in the late 1960s and 1970s, the interdimensional hypothesis challenged the prevailing extraterrestrial orthodoxy. Instead of traveling across light years of physical space, interdimensional entities are theorized to exist concurrently with us in folded dimensions, hyperspace, or parallel realities just beyond our sensory bandwidth. Vallée famously noted that UFOs and high strangeness entities behave less like visiting scientists and more like historical folklore, resembling faeries, jinns, angels, and demons. They seem capable of manipulating physical reality, creating optical illusions, and leaving ambiguous or ephemeral traces, the Oz factor where the environment goes utterly silent and detached from normal physics. Interdimensional encounters rarely mirror a standard physical meeting. Instead, the boundary between the observer and the phenomenon relies heavily on consciousness. Witnesses rarely describe concrete, biological flesh. Instead, entities are perceived as shifting geometric patterns, figures composed of pure light, shadow people, or entities that can alter their appearance to match the psychological expectations of the observer. Communication is almost exclusively telepathic, bypassing auditory language entirely. The emotional register is often polarized, ranging from overwhelming, ego-dissolving waves of cosmic unity and peace to absolute, paralyzing terror, commonly linked to sleep paralysis or hypnagogic states. How do these dimensions intersect? Theorists point to two primary gateways. Altered states of consciousness induced through deep meditation, sensory deprivation, autogenic training, or psychoactive entheogens are believed to lower the brain's filter, allowing humans to perceive frequencies or dimensions normally tuned out for survival. Proponents of Earth energy theories suggest that specific geographic locations, such as ancient sacred sites, desert vortexes like giant rock or high quartz tectonic fault lines, generate localized electromagnetic anomalies that act as natural dimensional windows or thin spots in the veil. The interdimensional perspective reframes the entire contact narrative. It suggests that humanity is not merely looking out into a cold, physical universe of dead rocks and distant stars, but is living within a multi-layered cosmos inhabited by unseen intelligences that have shared our space all along, waiting just behind the curtain of our ordinary perception. Interpreting anomalous encounters through a spiritual framework shifts the focus entirely away from spaceships, technology, and laboratories, placing it firmly within the realm of soul evolution, cosmology, and mysticism. Across history and cultures, humanity has consistently encountered non-ordinary intelligences, translating them through whatever theological or cultural vocabulary was available at the time. A comprehensive look at the spiritual dimensions of these encounters reveals how they function as profound catalysts for human transformation. In spiritual and esoteric traditions, the entities encountered during high strangeness events are rarely viewed as biological extraterrestrials. Instead, they are recognized as denizens of unseen spiritual hierarchies. Depending on the era and the experiencer's background, the same underlying phenomenon manifests as angels, archangels, ascended masters, ancestral spirits, or adversarial forces, demons, or trickster spirits. Unlike the clinical, data-gathering grays of modern ufology, spiritual entities are generally understood to operate with distinct moral, karmic, or divine purposes, offering protection, delivering cosmic warnings, testing spiritual integrity, or acting as guardians of sacred thresholds. Encounters interpreted spiritually are rarely neutral data collection exercises. They are designed to radically reconfigure the human psyche. Experiencers frequently report a complete dissolution of their prior worldview, shedding materialism in favor of a deep-seated, knowing that consciousness survives physical death. These events often imbue individuals with an overwhelming sense of mission, a calling to heal others, teach higher truths, or guide humanity through a collective spiritual transition or planetary shift. Despite diverse cultural interpretations, spiritually framed encounters share remarkably consistent phenomenological themes. Like the sterile terror of classic abduction reports, spiritual encounters are overwhelmingly characterized by an all-encompassing, wordless warmth that dissolves the ego and connects the experiencer to the bedrock of creation. Knowledge is transmitted not through physical instruction or medical instrumentation, but through instantaneous downloads of direct understanding, glimpsing the interconnected machinery of the universe, past lives, or higher dimensions. Viewing encounters through a spiritual lens suggests that the phenomenon is fundamentally a mirror of consciousness. Whether interpreted as divine intervention or spiritual testing, these experiences strip away the illusion of ordinary reality, reminding humanity that we are part of a vast, living cosmos populated by unseen intelligences dedicated to our ultimate awakening. The threshold of the ineffable. Exploring states of non-ordinary reality. When anomalous encounters push past the boundaries of physical nuts and objects ufology, they plunge directly into the ineffable, experiences so vast, alien, and profound that human language fundamentally collapses under their weight. Whether induced by the catastrophic threshold of a near-death state, the biochemical key of a powerful entheogen, or the disciplined focus of deep meditative trance, these occurrences share a universal architecture. A detailed examination of these primary induction pathways reveals how human consciousness routinely punctures the veil of ordinary reality to interface with hidden dimensions. Near-death experiences represent perhaps the most profound and universally documented spontaneous entry point into non-ordinary reality. Occurring when brain activity flatlines or plummets during cardiac arrest or severe trauma, NDEs yield remarkably consistent structural patterns across cultures and centuries. Experiencers frequently report passing through a tunnel into a brilliant, living illumination, where they are met by luminous beings, deceased relatives, or spiritual guardians who radiate unconditional acceptance. Subjects describe experiencing their entire life compressed into a simultaneous flash of hyper-awareness, not merely remembering events, but feeling the exact emotional ripple of every action they inflicted or offered to others. The reluctant return, defining feature of deep NDEs, is an overwhelming sense of peace, wholeness, and home, making the eventual forced return to a damaged physical body a profound psychological and physical burden. Dimethyltryptamine, DMT, a naturally occurring tryptamine molecule, often dubbed the spirit molecule, offers an induced pathway to realities that parallel the most extreme contactee reports. When consumed or synthesized, it triggers an abrupt, explosive shift in perception. Users are typically rocketed within seconds into intricate, constantly morphing geometric realms that feel hyperreal, often described as more real than real. Within these spaces, users almost universally report encountering independent sentient inhabitants. Popularly categorized by ethnobotanist Terence McKenna and modern psychonauts as machine elves, clockwork jesters, or wise, guiding presences, these entities often interact directly with the experiencer, communicating through telepathic geometry or performing symbolic operations. Unlike the abrupt, explosive entry of NDEs or psychedelics, meditation and astral projection represent systematic, highly controlled methods for disengaging consciousness from the physical shell. Practitioners of deep meditative states, yoga nidra, or intentional astral travel describe a deliberate separation of the subtle body from the physical frame, often passing through a vibratory threshold or a transitional void. Once in non-physical states, explorers report traversing vast inner geographies, visiting structured learning halls, or encountering ancestral guides, teachers, and cosmic entities who assist in spiritual evolution and self-mastery. Whether accessed through the edge of death, molecular catalyst, or decades of meditative discipline, these states point to a singular, staggering reality. Human consciousness is not a byproduct trapped entirely inside the skull. It is a receiver, capable of tuning into hyperdimensional frequencies, where unseen intelligences, profound cosmic architecture, and the ultimate secrets of existence wait just behind the curtain of ordinary perception. The spectrum of interpretation, science, psyche, and esoteric realities. When examining the staggering array of anomalous encounters, ranging from high strangeness ufology to hyperdimensional breakthroughs, researchers, skeptics, and mystics find themselves deeply divided. How humanity explains these experiences depends entirely on the lens through which we view consciousness itself. A detailed breakdown of the primary explanatory frameworks reveals a fascinating tug-of-war between materialist science, depth psychology, and ancient esoteric traditions. Materialist and psychological frameworks approach the phenomenon by looking inward, treating the human brain and subconscious as the primary generators of these profound events. Hard science often posits that anomalous experiences are the byproduct of aberrant or stressed brain states. Temporal lobe epilepsy, severe sensory deprivation, oxygen starvation during trauma, common in NDEs, or the brain's internal release of neurochemicals, like endogenous DMT during stress or sleep, can trigger vivid, hyperreal hallucinations that feel entirely external. From a psychological standpoint, heavily influenced by Carl Jung, these encounters represent autonomous projections of the deep human psyche. The entities, symbols, and cosmic landscapes aren't visiting spacecraft or interdimensional gods. They are ancient archetypes surfacing from the collective unconscious to help the ego integrate hidden aspects of the self. In this view, the alien or angel is a mirror of the human mind. Conversely, esoteric, occult, and New Age traditions argue that the materialist model suffers from a severe lack of imagination, mistaking the radio receiver, the brain, for the radio station, consciousness. Traditions such as theosophy, anthroposophy, and modern metaphysics maintain that interdimensional and spiritual beings possess an objective, independent existence. Far from being random hallucinations, these entities are viewed as active participants in a grand cosmic hierarchy, guiding human spiritual evolution, testing our ethical resolve, or serving as stewards of planetary transitions. These systems often bridge ancient shamanic cosmology with modern quantum philosophy, arguing that physical matter is only a tiny fraction of a multi-tiered universe. In this framework, altered states of consciousness do not create illusions. Rather, they remove biological blinders, allowing humans to perceive realities that are already there. Ultimately, the debate between internal neurological generation and external interdimensional contact exposes the limits of our current scientific vocabulary. Whether these visions are generated by the infinite, hidden depths of the human brain or transmitted from unseen realms across the cosmos, one undeniable truth remains. The experience is real, deeply transformative, and capable of completely rewriting a person's understanding of reality. For over 3 decades, my personal life has been defined by direct encounters with the anomalous, interdimensional, and extraterrestrial intelligences that operate far beyond the boundaries of consensus reality. This trajectory culminated in a profound dismantling of my ego structure in 2016, an event preceded and followed by what I can only describe as undergoing various forms of symbolic and experiential death many times over. While observers might readily categorize these occurrences as purely spiritual, and while deep spiritual dimensions were undeniably present, that label feels insufficient. To me, these events revealed a deliberate systematic monitoring, a long-range testing protocol. And I know I am not alone. This is an ancient continuum practiced worldwide across centuries, tracing back to the very dawn of humanity on this earth. These intelligences possess the capability to craft and administer precise, hyperreal experiences directly into human consciousness. Why do they do this? Because intellectual knowledge alone is inert. They understand that true understanding requires direct embodiment. By taking you through an engineered experience, they ensure you know what it means beyond theory, burning the reality of it into your memory so you can fully grasp its weight. They possess an exhaustive, meticulous understanding of human physiology, energetic circuitry, and how consciousness anchors itself to biological form. They know precisely how lived experiences shape a person, how to expand a worldview, upgrade mental and emotional capacities, and awaken dormant extrasensory perception. Ultimately, their objective points toward a clear evolutionary imperative. They are guiding us toward a higher tier of existence, bridging the gap so we can eventually approach their level of physical, emotional, spiritual, and interdimensional capability. We are not merely victims of a random cosmic phenomenon, or passive specimens in a sterile laboratory. We are subjects in a vast, ancient curriculum designed to elevate human consciousness, to meet the wider universe eye to eye. To be continued. Watch and listen. Watch the cinematic video trailer. Listen to the full podcast now. Explore the archived Cosmic Awakening Volume 1, 1991, Peru, Journey into the Unknown. Sacred Valley of the Incas. Volume 2, Ascension 2012, The Golden Alchemy. Part 3, The First Contact and the Paranormal State. Join the journey. New episodes drop periodically. Each chapter delivers a tight, hyper-focused 10 to 30-minute exploration into the evolution of ufology, perfect for your daily plunge into decoding hidden messages from outer space, designed to raise awareness and foster human evolution. Subscribe to support your inner development. Thumbs up to help push our channel through the algorithm. Comment below. Share your thoughts on today's episode.